Epic space. Retweet the room, tag some friends, and let's get into it. We got our host, Nick, in here in the house, Intelligent Stoners, aka Genius Pothead. We also got our buddy Rick Starr in the house. And man, I'm happy to be here. Happy Friday, Nick.
Happy Friday. This is going to be a great freaking show, guys. I am pumped for today. We got Leef Brands coming on. Leef Brands is a cannabis brand that is adopting the Bitcoin reserve strategy. They should be on shortly. We also got Quai Network coming on, so that'll be an interesting conversation. And we got somebody coming in right now. Jonathan, speak of the devil. I was just doing a little intro. We got Quai. We got Jonathan from Quai. We're going to be chatting with him a little bit later today. Crypto Stoner will be joining us shortly. He's dealing with some technical difficulties. But yeah, I'm excited for today's show. I think it's going to be a banger. And we'll get into it here shortly. Rick, what's up, my friend? Back from NFC Lisbon. How was it?
Oh, bro, it was amazing. Actually, I will show you guys. It was amazing, man. It was really... One second. Yeah, it really was it was an amazing event, as always. Not as busy as last year because they had Beeple last year. So obviously everyone was there for Beeple and not as many. But it was still an amazing event. I met like this ape there I was wearing my ApeCoin shirt.
Yeah.
And he got this made for me. Very nice of him.
That's cool. Mu Shiba?
Yeah, look at that, bro.
Yeah, there you go. Very cool.
So yeah, good time. The speech went very well. Obviously, did the speech with Tiberius the cat on the AI agent on the stage with me. So the crowd was just all in awe. Like their faces were just like, oh my god, like, you know, like couldn't believe they were seeing an AI agent like interacting with a human on a stage. I think it was just a lot for their brain. So they were all like just sitting there like dumbfounded, like big smiles on their face. And yeah, it was just a good event. There was OpenSea, there was Magic Eden. Some real big players were there. I mean, Rec Guy, these are the drinks they were giving out. This is the C-Rect, the OpenSea Rec drink. It's very light. It's almost like a spark flavor. And it says it, flavored sparkling water, and it really just is that. It's a very lightly flavored sparkling water, and it's nice. You know, they were giving these out for free, so you could just go grab these like as many as you liked. They had like a Pokemon trading desk there, and it was like a gacha game. You had to pay $50 to play, and they had all these PSA graded Pokemon there with like big boxes, all Japanese ones. And so you paid $50, and then you could do 5 spins.
Yeah.
And then you would get like one of the packs, or you could get like maybe 5 hollows or 10 hollows or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And so on the first day I went there, I was like, damn, I should do that, because they had like all these graded, like they had Giovanni hologram, they had like a Charizard, they had Pikachu, they had like some really like expensive ones at the top, and then they had a bunch of boxes of Japanese cards, and then they had all the holograms like at the bottom. And so you could do $50, and then you would get, actually it was 10 spins, I think. And you would get 10 prizes from the table. And the first day I was like, damn, I should do that, because there's just like PSA graded cards here and like packs and all from Japan. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do it, but I'll do it a bit later. I forgot about it. Went back the next day and all of them were gone. There was just like the one graded card left. And I was like, no, at that point, it's not really worth it. But yeah, cool things like that, like just cool initiatives like that took place at the event to make it like exciting. They had one of those bulls, you know, like those bulls that they have in bars that you sit on the back of a bull.
And yeah.
They had one of those there, bro. People were getting flung off. It was amazing. And then on the main stage, I watched Claire Silver, Seed Phrase, DK Motion, some cool names, like some really good what's the name, presentations and everything. And yeah, I mean, I was only there for 2 days, but more than enough for me. I met up with Phil from Ovi.
Oh, I saw that. I saw the picture on your
A
Twitter.
cool guy, cool guy. Like all these people you see, like you kind of see them on the timeline, and you meet them in spaces and stuff. When you meet them face to face, bro, they're exactly the same way like that they are, you know, like when you're talking to them, like if we all met up, it wouldn't be like strange, you know. I don't think anyway. It would just be like the same way, like us just all hanging out like this.
That's cool.
Because obviously hanging out with Phil and all of that there, just seeing like it was like the same as me hanging out on a stage with him. Sorry, let me just.
That's awesome, man. I'm jealous. It looked like I was following you on Twitter. It looked like you had a lot of fun and you met a lot of cool people.
It was amazing, bro. I was not gonna lie, like speaking on stage for the first time, I was so nervous, but bro, there was nothing to be nervous about, bro. I was just like, as soon as I got up there, I was just like flowing, bro, just looking at everyone, because I think having the AI on stage with me did make it easier though, because there wasn't like ever any awkward silence. Like the minute I would keep quiet, the AI would jump in. So it made it like, it just made it interesting and fun. And yeah, bro, definitely can't wait for the next one. I'm going to hopefully go to like NFT NYC and like maybe not this year, next year. Because it's soon, isn't it, Tricky? It's like in a week.
Yeah, 3 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, shoot, it's 2 weeks now.
Yeah,
no, it's three. 2.5.
3. I think it's 2 weeks. We're on the 6th already.
It's 25th, 26th, 27th. I think
I'm going to be 3 weeks away, bro.
To 29th. So yeah, it's in like 2 weeks. I leave, and then 2.5 weeks. The main event is, but yeah.
What's that flight? What's that flight from Lisbon to New York? Is that like a 5-6 hour flight or?
Yeah, 5 or 6 hours. Not that bad, bro.
Not too bad. It's about the same for me. I think it's about 5 hours from AZ to New York.
I could do it for like a 2-day trip. I think I'm more down to go to Art Basel though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that one's like more my vibe, definitely.
When is that tricky? Could you do that every year, right? You do Art Basel?
I mean, I didn't start doing actual events until my health improved. Like we're kind of recently, like the last year, it's been a lot better. Mm-hmm. I've done like 3 events now. Art Basel was my first one with Jade and Violet, and then this last year we did Zauchella, which was awesome. It really was a movie. But yeah, I probably will go if I'm still in Florida. I mean, why not? Miami's not that far away. It's just like a 5-hour drive, so I can do that in a day. I would go again. Yeah, we have to organize more and pull more people together for the side events too. Like that's the main thing. It's like there's so many events going on, you can't make it to everything unless you really like get people to collab. You know.
Yeah, we got. Oh wait, here we go. I was just saying we got Micah and Jamie were trying to get in. I apologize, Jamie. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How you guys doing?
Good. We're just getting the download on NFC Lisbon here from Rick. Rick was
beautiful.
Rick was out there. All right, and then Micah, I think, is going to be joining us here shortly as well. Let me resend the link there. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited for today's Jesus, I'm excited for today's live. We're going to be talking with Leef Brands. We're going to be talking with Quai Network. This, of course, is sponsored by Weed. How's it go, Tricky?
It's Tricky Buddha from DeFi Space Donkeys, powered by Weed on Solana. Get yourself a bag of weed.
There you go. So yeah, we're gonna have a fun conversation here. Let's see if Micah gets in here in the next minute or two, and then we'll start with Leaf Brands and kind of go from there. Jonathan, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you being here.
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I met Crypto Stoner at Bitcoin 2025 last week, and nice. He invited me on, and I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. I think that's great what you guys are doing here. So excited to be here to tune in and chat with you guys.
Nice. Micah, how are you, sir?
What's up, guys? Sorry, I was on the wrong link.
Hey, all good. Yeah, I know I sent a few different emails and invite links over, so apologies on my end. Welcome. So we're just kind of shooting, I was gonna say shooting the shit, and I was like, should I edit myself? No, we're just shooting the shit, hearing about NFC Lisbon from Rick, and talking about NYC coming up here in a few weeks. Yeah, I want to get into it because we got kind of a packed show today, and I want to make sure we have time for everybody. I met Leaf Brands and Micah and Jamie through Jesse Redmond a while back. I don't even remember when it was. I remember we had you guys on a space a while back. And they're in the cannabis industry, and I'll let them do a high level background in a second. But I was fascinated by what they're doing with Bitcoin and how they're trying to integrate crypto into the cannabis industry. And my background is cannabis. I own a dispensary. I've been in the industry for 9 years now. And I think the marriage of crypto and cannabis is just a perfect marriage. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about that today. Micah, let's start. Why don't you give a high level overview of who Leaf Brands is, just as a business, and then we can segue into the crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin side of things.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, so Leaf, we're a vertical, I guess at our core, we're a concentrate company. We're based out of California. We've been here since the inception of Prop 64. So it's been about 9 years. I think we started the company in 2015, kind of pre-64, the transition between Prop 215 going into 64, and then got licensed up in a little town called Willits up in Northern California. And over the course of 9 years, we've done a bit of everything from retail to being a portfolio of brands, manufacturing, cultivation, and we learned, through challenges and bumps and improvements that what we're really good at is large scale manufacturing. So we make concentrates for most of the larger brands in the state of California or larger retail groups. Just to give you guys like a scope of the size. So we run about 220 acres worth of raw cannabis material through three primary extraction lines: hydrocarbon extraction, solventless extraction, and ethanol extraction. Since the inception of the company, we've been spot purchasing or through contractual agreements with other cultivators throughout the state. So we buy material from all over the state of California. Okay. This year's the first year where we brought cultivation in-house. We were awarded a 187-acre land use permit in Santa Barbara County. We built out 70 acres of the 187 this year, and we have that planted and ground. We start harvesting at the end of June, and then we'll replant and then have another harvest later in this year. And the idea is basically reduce our cost of goods, have the cultivation targeted specific to concentrate production versus flower production, which is kind of the other side of the coin of what sells in the market. So that's like one of the main things we're working on this year on the operational side. We're a small public company. We are entering the New York market here in the near future. Rinse and repeat of what we do in California. So take everything that we've learned and apply it to a new market, being New York. And that will be, it's going to take us a bit to get up and rolling, but that's the plan.
When do you think that's going to happen, in 2026, or what's your time frame for that?
No, 25 is the goal.
25? Okay.
Yep, 25. Yeah, it's like anything. We'll get in there and slowly kind of crawl, walk, run. But it's been a couple year process, so it's not like we're starting from ground zero. We've been learning kind of the market in New York and kind of helped a group that's already there on setting up their lab for them, SOPs and all the rest. And so we've had a bit of experience operating in New York already, sending out managers and helping and all that. So we decided we need to move into our own space. So that's what we're in the process of kind of finalizing at the moment.
Nice. So you guys provide distillate for brands that are making edibles, cartridges, concentrate, all that fun stuff, right?
Yeah, you name it. On the concentrate side, we kind of do a bit of everything.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
The fascinating part of what you guys are doing with this Bitcoin strategy kind of speaks to me, because having been in the industry, there are a lot of pain points in the cannabis industry, especially as it relates to banking specifically, right? I tell people, the story all the time of how I'd have to go and pay my attorney. I'd have to put the money counter in my backpack, put 10 grand in my backpack, drive down to Phoenix, go up to my accountant, take the money counter, run them and I had to do this like every 2 or 3 weeks. So talk to me a little bit about, I don't know if this is you or Jamie, but talk to me a little bit about how you guys came to the Bitcoin reserve strategy, what led you to that, and then kind of where you're at in that process.
Sure. Maybe I'll take the front end of that, Jamie, and then I'll pass it to you on the back end. I'll try and keep it as short as I can. So Bitcoin, I've been in the cannabis industry for a long time, right? Like way before it was legal. I spent a lot of time living in Mendocino and growing when, it was just strictly just a cash business.
Right.
And so when Bitcoin kind of first came around, it was brought to me a few different times, and my knee-jerk reaction was just like, no, not interested. I'm not. And I thought that it was the exact opposite of what it is, where it's this kind of centralized digital currency, a way to like further enslave humanity or whatever, that's the way my knee-jerk reaction was. My dad was a gold bug and got me into buying gold with the cash that we were making. He was also in a part of my business as well back then. And, he was super into Ron Paul, Sound Money, big on educating myself and my brother on what the Fed was and, the negative impact the Fed has when it constantly just prints money over time. So I was familiar with some of the things that make Bitcoin unique and attractive, but my knee-jerk reaction to it was always just like, no, not interested.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, and Jamie and I have known each other for a long time in the industry, and he stepped away from his business. I'll let him kind of give his own story here in a sec, but and I remember just kind of being like, that's interesting, because I'm a founder and a CEO of my own business, and his company Henry's they're still doing good today. And he stepped away and started posting stuff about Bitcoin and freedom and all these things. And I'm like, that's interesting. I'm kind of into a lot of the things he's talking about. Reached out to him. Long story short, over time, Jamie essentially orange pilled me and gave me the Bitcoin Standard. And he's like, Mike, you got to read this book, because I was telling him all the reasons why I'm not interested and why I don't like it. Yeah. I got like halfway through the book and I'm like, oh, okay. I totally had this thing wrong. Right. It didn't take me long to understand what it was.
When was the last time you faded it, and when did you jump in?
Oh, it's been about a year. Yeah. Okay. So it's been relatively new. All right. And and ever since then, I've been just neurotically addicted to learning about it. Yeah. And I was looking at this book stack that I have earlier today. I mean, I have like 20 something books that I've read over the course of it. I read a lot anyways, but and I've been going to all the conferences and listening to all the podcasts and kind of getting brought up to speed as fast as I possibly can. And it's like anyone can kick themselves like, God damn, I wish I would have paid attention to this when it was first brought to me, but I didn't. And so then Jamie brought it to me and I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. I'm definitely interested in this. And then the more I learn, the more convicted I am I wholeheartedly believe that this is the right path for our company. And so we've been going out and talking to all kinds of different people that would be willing to get behind the strategy and set up a wallet for ourselves, started taking B2B payments about, 6 months ago, have collected some coins through B2B payments. We started taking Lightning payments at our retail store, and we've been getting a little bit of sats through the store. And now we're looking at implementing like a way to use the capital markets to bring in more Bitcoin as quickly as we can, but also potentially launch a few products that are kind of catered towards the, Bitcoin community and an education platform. Because I think the cannabis industry at large could definitely benefit from leveraging Bitcoin or, just being a part of what is happening with Bitcoin, just with how bad it's gone with cannabis. Yep. And we can go into more of what I mean by that later in the conversation. But yeah, Jamie, sorry, I was rambling there for a minute, but maybe you want to take it from there.
I think you said it well. Our Bitcoin strategy is relatively straightforward. It's accumulate as much Bitcoin as we can, as fast as we can, by any means necessary.
Nice.
Particularly if it's accretive to shareholders. And the only way it's not is if you dilute the company faster than the appreciation of the Bitcoin price. So, which is hard to do. And so, that is effectively our strategy. We've got about 4 Bitcoin right now, and we're really just aligning ourselves with an institutional investor that's willing to take the next step with us and start helping us stack Bitcoin in a more concentrated and expedient manner. And so it's been a great process. It is unique. What is unique to us is finding investors that are okay investing in cannabis and Bitcoin.
Interesting.
Both 2 industries that have been highly marginalized. And it's great to see that, the digital asset community is catalyzed. I mean, I think there always has been so much cultural fervor and excitement in the community itself. But now we're starting to see institutional adoption in a way we've never, and government adoption in a way we've never seen before. So it's pretty exciting. And we're just taking it a step at a time here. And, a lot of, I would say, inspiration has obviously been drawn from Michael Saylor. And many people who have made other, executives who have taken a Bitcoin treasury strategy. You've got MetaPlanet, who has done extraordinarily well, and Semler Scientific. And we just saw GameStop obviously make their announcement at the Bitcoin conference with a $500 million investment. But there's so many others, right? Elon Musk is, got almost, he's got a few $1 billion in Bitcoin and Tesla. I think he's got 500 million in Starlink in Bitcoin holdings. So it's going to run the gamut. We're over 100 public companies with a Bitcoin treasury strategy and thousands of private. So it's a fun time to be involved. And everybody could say they wish they started yesterday, but there's no better time to start than today, because we'll be saying the same thing in 10 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talk about.
How are you going to say you got 10? You had 100 Bitcoin. I thought that's where it was going. I was like, "Whoa!"
I wish we did. I wish we did, my friend.
Someday we will.
Yes, there you go. Going back to the institutional side and trying to find investors that are interested in both cannabis and Bitcoin, is there one side that's more favorable than the other? And what I mean by that, like when you go to a cannabis brand or institutional investor that invests in cannabis, do you find that they're more receptive to Bitcoin versus if you went to an institutional investor that invests in Bitcoin and they're more receptive to the other side being cannabis? Is there a distinction there, or if they're open to one, they're open to both?
You want me to take that, Jamie?
Well, by all means.
Yeah, I'll give you just kind of a few. So I think just from my perspective, when we first started talking about this and kind of put it out to the world that we were very interested in doing this.
Yeah.
The initial reaction we got from the cannabis side is like, you guys are freaking crazy.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Just a lot of like initial knee-jerk reaction, especially like the more traditional finance guys that are also in cannabis, just like, and whereas you go to the Bitcoin investors and they fully understand what the strategy is. They're convicted.
Right.
Their main thing is like, hey, if we do this with you, we just want to make sure that you never sell this,
right.
And which is our intent anyways. Fast forward to where we are today. I had a couple calls this morning. I'm going to Benzinga to speak on a conference about Bitcoin. So it's like, I feel like it's happening quickly to where even the cannabis industry is starting to like realize that like, oh, maybe they're not as crazy as we initially thought that they were.
Yeah.
So it's changing a bit. I mean, if you're a longtime investor in cannabis, you are doing yourself a serious disservice if you don't take time to read a few books on it before you just like have an initial knee-jerk reaction. And I think that like if you are educated in the traditional finance world, you're going to have a harder time understanding it than a new guy that isn't. You're coming into it at a disadvantage.
Right. No bad habits.
Yes, you have to re-educate yourself
Mhm.
and start to think differently about monetary policy and inflation and deflation and all these different things that we've been taught. So, and maybe Jamie, I'll pass it to you, and then we could kind of talk through just some of the unique challenges. Like, because it's not like you got the Bitcoin guys that want to invest into Bitcoin, but like when you pair the two industries together, you run into a bit of a, we're not able to be on larger exchanges. We are marginalized ourselves through our industry.
Right.
And there's these different unique challenges that you run into, but like anything, I always think that like when there's challenges and things are difficult, there's also opportunities there. There's a lot of people in the cannabis industry, these bigger companies that have taken a lot of senior secured debt positions that probably wouldn't even be eligible to do what we're talking about. And I think that presents a solid opportunity for ourselves. But Jamie's been super helpful. We've been talking to so many people, going to all these conferences. So I don't know if Jamie, you want to expand
upon
that.
Can't wait to see you guys at NFT NYC. Let's go.
What's that?
Can't wait to see you guys at NFT NYC. You going?
No, you got to send me the info. It's the first I've heard of it. So
really,
yeah.
It's in 2.5 weeks. I'll hit you up with all the info.
Yeah, send it to me.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the cannabis institutional investors are not deploying capital. That's probably the easiest, most straightforward way to talk about the cannabis side of things. Most of them have a portfolio that they've had to write down, and their group of LPs are just not willing to put more money into cannabis. That's the state of things. The only folks that we'll say are quote unquote raising capital are, I'd say, the top 3 largest publicly traded companies that are refinancing extraordinary amounts of debt. That's it.
Yeah.
In terms of, the type of investors that have been open to conversations or open to providing Leef term sheets, they've been more on, I would say not even necessarily in the Bitcoin space. And now they're interested in supporting Bitcoin treasury companies. They're largely just private equity institutions that do deals that a lot of them are called PIPEs. Private investments in public entities. And, I think they're just a lot of companies or institutions are interested in getting Bitcoin exposure. And the only reason they would invest in a company adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet is if they think that by taking a position in a company with a Bitcoin treasury, they are going to outperform the Bitcoin appreciation or the Bitcoin gains. And, MicroStrategy and MetaPlanet and many others have shown that that's possible. And I think it's more than possible for Leef because we're starting at, we're a small company. We're I think USD terms, $30 million market cap. And in our industry, we're going at the biggest, I think, is Income or with around a $1 billion market cap. And I think we could skyrocket past them with a fast accumulation of Bitcoin on our balance sheet. So that's our quickest path, right? Our quickest path to growth is through obviously having a great operation and running a great cannabis company. But the quickest path to growing the market cap is through Bitcoin on the balance sheet.
Okay.
Obviously, the cannabis industry is not doing well.
All the stocks down.
Florida, adult use not passing in Florida was a big blow to the industry, and most companies are down, I don't know, 50, 60, some even 70%. Does Bitcoin protect you from what the rest of the industry is experiencing? Is Bitcoin not only a hedge against inflation and all the other things that Bitcoin represents, but also a hedge against what the restrictions and all the difficulties that the cannabis industry specifically faces from regulation, banking, just the laundry list of things that you guys have to deal with on the cannabis side of things?
My answer to that would be yes. It is. It's a bit of a protection measure for a handful of different reasons.
Yeah.
Where I was kind of going with that is a moment ago with what I was saying is that if you've been investing in cannabis for a long time, you're familiar with this concept. Everyone's taking write-downs. You got involved with a retail location at a $5 or $10 million valuation. That's now worth $1 million. You bought a brand you got in at an $80 million valuation. It's now worth $3. You know, like, I mean, and we're not talking slight write-downs, we're significant.
Right.
And so you've got balance sheet damage happening constantly with the way that this has gone. And like in our position, we're in that position as well. You know, we were started this private company, we rolled into a public company, now we're running this public company, and you have to adhere to financial reporting, and you're constantly having to put out, and the auditors want to see you taking write-downs where you're supposed to be. So if you bought licenses in New York or wherever, and those licenses are now worth less than they were than the time of acquisition, you're taking millions of dollars sometimes in terms of write-downs. So how do you offset that? And I think that the answer to that is that if you can put a highly liquid asset on your balance sheet that is going up 30, 40, 50% per year over year, that's a way to offset it. That's a way to protect and to give your balance sheet the protection that you need in this industry. I think that that's one way to shore up the survivability and the strength of your company. And I think the other is that if Leaf can get itself into a position to where you got 20, 30, $40 million worth of Bitcoin on the balance sheet, the capital markets or just investment in general for this industry is relatively dead. I mean, it's just like Jamie said, the cannabis guys, short of some material change to federal laws and banking laws, which I personally don't see in the near. I don't see it at all.
I don't see it happening anytime.
No, and I think that the people that are, you're holding your breath. Like, you better have a very, very long snorkel in terms of cash on the balance sheet to survive that, because I don't think it's going to happen for a long time. And so it opens up the door to very unique, very easy ways to capitalize certain efforts that you might have in the business. And what I mean by that is, if you have a highly liquid asset, $10 million of Bitcoin on your balance sheet, in 24 hours, without even speaking to another human being, I can leverage that and go get a cheap loan.
Yep.
I had a call with a new group this morning, actually reached out to me, out of the blue, and, family office out of New York. I won't give them the shout out yet because I haven't done anything with them, but, like crazy low rates. And they're looking at it like, man, this asset is so liquid. It's such good collateral that we will easily loan against it. And as long as you're not foolish about it and go get yourself over leverage, and you got to always take into consideration that Bitcoin could have a serious drawdown like it's had in the past, and make sure that you don't set yourself up for failure there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a way for you to bring in capital that you might need in your business that isn't available to our industry right now.
Right.
That's just one other thing that I think is unique about it. Jamie, I'll pass it back to you, and you can take.
I think it's well said, man. I think, listen, I loved Elon Musk's tweet. I think it was yesterday. He said, "Bitcoin is my safe word." You know?
I saw that.
And it's like, if you see what's happening between Elon and Donald Trump, and it's really obviously about money. It's about the debt, and he doesn't want the debt to spiral out of control, and that's why he's bought Bitcoin for his companies. So from our perspective, this goes far beyond cannabis. It is a risk-off asset for anybody that doesn't want to be in the traditional markets, and it's a hedge to put your money in a asset that's been growing 143.5% year over year for the last 13 years. And
equity, here's one other door I think it unlocks for a lot of us. So right now, I'll use our Leaf as an example, right? We're trading significantly lower than we want to be, and where we believe that the value of the company is, but it's the state of the union, and we're no different than all these other companies. You look at the MSOS, it's the one ETF in the industry. I think it's down like 98% since the inception, and so it makes M&A very, very difficult when you're trading at these lower valuations. Even if you want to do a deal with someone, it's hard, right? And some of the initial knee-jerk reactions I got from a couple shareholders when I first started talking about this was like, man, doesn't that make it harder for you to eventually be a target later down the road? Like if someone's looking at acquiring companies, they thought it was like it would be, and I actually see, I think it's the exact opposite. It's like, no, if we're sitting around the table, 5 years from now, we have 100 coins on the balance sheet and we're comparing equity to equity. I'm sorry, if I've got 10, $20 million of the most liquid asset that's going up at the rate that it's going up on my balance sheet, and we're like horse trading on values, you're in a much better, powerful position when it comes to M&A conversations. And then I think that as this capital markets outside of cannabis, I think that you become a target by even other companies that aren't even, maybe not even interested in cannabis.
Yeah, I agree.
They're just like, wow, these guys.
Well, they could buy Bitcoin at a discount. If you have $100 million of Bitcoin on your balance sheet, they could buy you, right? Sell the cannabis assets, keep the Bitcoin, and they just bought Bitcoin at a discount.
Yep, right. Agree, 100%. Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about M&A. M&A is probably, when you go after a company, would you rather have Bitcoin as an asset or a production facility as an asset, right? When you're looking at companies. And for me, especially if I'm one of the big boys that already has a production facility wherever they're acquiring that asset, what's the point of acquiring another company that has a production facility when you can just acquire another company that has Bitcoin and still, reap the same benefits? So I completely agree with you from that standpoint. And Jamie, you make an interesting point as well about you're getting Bitcoin at a discount because you can turn around if you really wanted to and sell the cannabis side of the business.
It just opens up who the acquisition targets are,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's not just people in cannabis that may acquire you as a company. It could be
MicroStrategy. I mean,
exactly. It could be
if they want more Bitcoin, I mean, they're gonna have to start acquiring.
They're coming. They're already here. I mean, they just want Bitcoin. That's their operational strategy. It's that simple. Acquire at a discount.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, you're right. It completely opens you up to acquisition by different companies outside of cannabis. I mean, let's face it, cannabis it's a long road to recovery for the cannabis
industry. It is a long
industry.
road.
And who knows when it's going to happen. Safe banking, not happening any fucking time soon.
Yeah.
Rescheduling, I have no idea what's going on with rescheduling. I thought it was supposed to be rescheduled like at the beginning of the year. But so yeah, I don't think cannabis is a priority for anybody in any administration right now. But Bitcoin makes sense to, I think, everybody, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about trying to find your website, a few shareholders kind of not being unsure about the strategy. What is that reception like now? Are they on board now? Do they get it now? What are you hearing from your customers who are using the Lightning Network or from other brands who are making B2B payments via Bitcoin? Are we starting to see kind of this evolution of crypto within the cannabis industry or blockchain in general within the cannabis industry?
Yeah, I mean, I guess take those one at a time. So as far as our shareholders go, the few that we had, I had a couple guys that are like very wealthy, smart individuals, capital markets guys for, in their 60s, 60 plus years old. They've kind of been there, done that. Mm-hmm. Their knee-jerk reaction was the same as mine. The first time someone brought Bitcoin to me, it was just like, this is a bubble, it's a Ponzi, it's parroting the narrative that you hear on the news all the time, or you used to hear it. I think it's definitely the tone has changed. But I actually had one of the guys call me about 2 weeks ago to tell me to apologize in his version of an apology that he's actually intrigued now. He's like, I got to say, he's like, I've been paying attention to this more and more. And he's like, you might actually be onto something. And which I thought was super interesting. And, he's like an old dog, like, so now I think it's actually gone the other way. We don't have any naysayers. Like everyone kind of gets it to a certain extent. And they're like, look, if the capital markets, if the cannabis industry is going through this challenge, and it's a truly uncorrelated way of amplifying your business that doesn't distract you from the P&L strategy that we have, it's like all these headwinds that we have in the cannabis industry I'm still totally like a stubborn mother effer. Like now it's like I'm gonna win. That's how, like in the sense that like I'm not going anywhere. What am I trying to say? I'm very passionate about winning on the cannabis side. And so I'm just like, my fiduciary duty is like, you have to find any which way that what do you have to do to win?
Yeah.
And that's why I think Bitcoin, it's this way of winning. And there's something that Saylor says that I think is like super interesting. And I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's like, sometimes being a genius is seeing the genius in something else someone else is doing and having the humility to adopt it. And like, I totally think like that's what Bitcoin is, because it's so simple. It almost doesn't make sense. It's like, wait a minute, what do you mean? You just buy this stuff and you do nothing with it? It just sits on the balance sheet. And it's like, yeah, that's it, dude. It's as simple as that. And you don't like, you got to kill your ego on it and get past the simplicity of it. So, we have more and more people showing up to the store. To answer your question, sorry. Utilizing it, which is great. You know, it's not as much as I wish that it was, but we do have more people. We're advertising more and more to the cannabis community that we will accept Bitcoin. I was told a couple days ago that we have another group that wants to give us like a half a coin for some money that they owe us. So it's like awesome, great, you know. And we want to keep pushing that message as like a way to bring in Bitcoin in the interim. And sorry, what was the other part of your question?
B2B payments. Are you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
yeah. So
just covered.
Yeah.
B2B payments?
No. Just that was the last part of our question, but you just covered it. So I want to wrap up with one or two more questions here. You guys are going to Benzinga here coming up shortly. Are you already having conversations with other cannabis brands, C-level type people about your Bitcoin reserve strategy? Are those conversations being teed up for when you guys are at Benzinga?
Yeah, there's actually a crypto panel this year. And so I was asked to join it. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm meeting with another group after the panel to talk more about the strategy and what we're doing. I've had a couple CEOs from other companies reach out to me just to kind of ask questions. They're interested in the concept. They're very, very new to it, you know, just trying to wrap their head around the strategy. I think it's interesting that there's a panel, you know, related to crypto, primarily Bitcoin. You know, we did a kind of a warm-up call a couple days ago, and most of it was about Bitcoin. So it's telling, you know, that like, okay, there's more and more interest around it. And the more that we are out doing this type of stuff and talking about the strategy, like we're definitely getting more and more people reaching out that are interested in what we're doing, both cannabis related and non-cannabis related.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the scene looks like at MJ BizCon, right? How many Bitcoin panel or crypto panels they are, how many blockchain panels they are, who's actually utilizing crypto payments at the point of sale, who's utilizing NFTs for rewards and loyalty. I'm fascinated by it. I love watching it in real time and seeing the evolution of the space as it relates to blockchain. And then I'm here for it because, you know, I've lived through all those pain points, and I see that blockchain can solve a lot of the things that, you know, we all and you all deal with on that day-to-day basis. So that's awesome. I know I've hogged most of the conversation. Rick or even Jonathan, Crypto, do you guys have any questions for these guys before we move to Jonathan and the Quai Network?
There's some comments. I don't know if you want to
them.
pull them up in the chat. Yeah, let's just, I think some people have
if you have
questions
something specific,
or
Rick, definitely jump in. I'll go through them real quick.
I like jumping in. You know, I'll jump in. It's good to see a company that's looking in the cannabis part of the industry along with the Bitcoin reserve strategy and being able to, you know, we understand that Bitcoin is a hedge against inflation, and it's one of the only ones that has ever been able to keep up with the hyperinflation that we're seeing in the fiat world. So to see you guys adopting that vision along with cannabis, with, like you said, is down right now. So I guess it's not really much of a question as much as, thank you guys for putting in that effort to see the future, how to protect ourselves business wise. It's so important. I talk to people a lot about how my investment strategy and my own business type stuff is kind of guided by Bitcoin and crypto. So when I'm looking for investors or loans to be given, I make sure I have that money in Bitcoin already, in crypto at this point, because I know that as I pay loans back from investors, I'm actually making money sometimes, especially depending on the timing of the market.
Yeah.
So, to be able to really take these strategies, take the principle of Bitcoin and what it stands for. And, also like Nick was saying earlier, this is also going to combat against the negativity or the stigma against cannabis and what it's for. I'm someone that studies a lot of cannabis as well. And I know obviously it's more than just your let's get lit and smoke up. There's a lot of medicinal and helpful properties to this. So to see you guys really taking that stand in the Bitcoin reserve world, how to utilize that to better your business while also taking the cannabis fight for us and for people that do support cannabis to help come back from that downtrot we're currently in, because we know it's only a matter of time. They can only say no for so long, and we will be back. So you guys are setting up to be one of those primaries, one of those comeback stories in the cannabis industry. So I love what you guys are doing.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'll say real quick, the premise of cannabis, I think the people that are really carrying the torch got into this for the same reason people get into Bitcoin, which is it's truly about being sovereign, right? It's about, Bitcoin gives you the chance to be sovereign with your money, and cannabis allows you to be sovereign with your body, right? People who have taken health into their own hands. Cannabis is one aspect of that, but it's certainly, I think, the underlying premise of what drives people in a meaningful way in this industry.
Yep. I love this industry. I mean, I got in for medical reasons too. And kind of touching on what you said earlier, when you're talking to people about cannabis or Bitcoin, it seems like the traditional finance people didn't want anything to do with it at first. And the hippie people, they really didn't want anything to do with it first. But if you do go around to the degen areas where they're looking at like meme coins and they're looking at different cryptos and Web3 stuff, most of those people do smoke. Yeah. I've noticed it's a better majority than normal. Yeah. But yeah, we're still having a little bit of trouble with the really earthbound, people who like to and walks and stuff like that. And traditional finance is starting to turn because it's included now in the testing for your Series 7 and all that. But yeah, we're getting there.
There you go. Yeah. Micah, Jamie, thank you so much. Love having you guys on. Love hearing about what you're doing as it relates to Bitcoin and blockchain in general. Anything we can do to support you over here, please let us know. I'm sure we'll be talking sometime around MJ BizCon. But yeah, great conversation. Thank you for coming on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Jonathan, thank you, man. How are you? Good to see you.
Hey, guys. Hey, yeah, great to be here, man. That was a cool conversation. I enjoyed listening to it. It's not every day that I get to hear what it's like for crypto. In today's space. I don't run a crypto company a cannabis company. So it's super interesting to see, what goes on and what they're thinking about on a day-to-day basis. And when it comes to investing, I guess you just have to take what disposable income you get from the business and invest that in the Bitcoin, right? Because that's just what you got to do these days, right?
It's way smarter than putting garbage cans full of cash in storage lockers.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
That's seriously what some companies have to do.
I know.
It's insane.
Because they're unbanked, right? So the banks don't want to work with cannabis companies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I had
that's a huge issue.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars just sitting in my safe when I had my dispensary. And I was not in a good part of town in Phoenix. I was on the west side of Phoenix. And it scared the shit out of me. I mean, I was like stressed out every single night thinking about all the cash that I had sitting in my safe. Now, granted, it's like bolted down the floor and it's, 6,000 pounds and blah blah blah. But still, man, there's some creative motherfuckers out there. They could have got it if they really wanted to.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think it's actually a good segue to what we're building. I mean, we're not building a platform for crypto, or excuse me, cannabis companies in particular, right? But the Quai network, we're trying to become a payments network primarily for unbanked individuals. So that's going to be people in all kinds of countries around the world that don't have, good banking systems. But it could also be companies in the U.S. that are just debanked for being whatever they are, right?
High risk cannabis.
Yeah. Anything. I think it's ridiculous that we've, given all of our money to banks that can determine what industries are allowed to exist.
Right.
I mean, that's just
accept payments. Yeah, with industries are allowed to even have a checking account. It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it comes down to, can you get a credit card processed, or can you get debit cards processed? I mean, that's even more difficult than getting a bank, because you have to be approved by Visa and MasterCard. And they can just revoke your permission at any time for whatever reason they want, because, they're central parties. If you just get some chargebacks, they could close out your business too. So that was an issue that we identified as well, with not just cannabis companies, but, people all over the world, people in Nigeria, people in Venezuela, people in Turkey, that don't have good banking systems. And they need a way to pay people. They need a way to pay for goods and services. So what's funny is you'll actually see in Venezuela people using crypto. Now, it's not a lot. I think it's primarily because there's a lot of friction to getting crypto in the first place. So
when you say friction, is that onboarding, or what is that? Not onboarding, on-ramping?
Right. Yeah. So it's on-ramping, and it's also just agreeing on like a network to use. And it's also fees. Okay. So Bitcoin right now, if you want to send a transaction on Bitcoin, it's actually not too expensive. It's going to cost you about $1. But when you start seeing a lot of activity on Bitcoin, right, and you've seen that in 2021, you've seen that in 2017, the transaction fees go to $20. And that's just like unreasonable for peer-to-peer payments. So Bitcoin is a good store of value. Make no mistake. What Satoshi did was extraordinary. It's a good store of value, and it's a good place to park your cash. And I think, crypto or cannabis and crypto businesses should be doing that. They should be parking revenue in Bitcoin. And I actually think any company should be doing it too, but especially companies that, are traditionally unbanked. And so, Bitcoin is good at what it does for being a store of value. But if you're talking about peer-to-peer payments, Bitcoin is not good at it. Ethereum is not good at it. You really get down to things like Solana and Sui maybe as being, lower fee kind of networks.
Yeah.
But they are kind of centralized, and they go down kind of often. And so what we wanted to do is build a completely decentralized payments network. We also support smart contracts, and I can get into that. But we wanted to build a completely decentralized payments network with sub-penny fees that anybody around the world can use, that anybody around the world can participate in. And it's called Quai. And so Quai is, it's actually proof of work. That means you mine blocks. People with GPUs are basically sitting there with their computers and their GPUs and basically putting transactions into blocks and mining blocks. And the reason that we think that's better is because it means that anybody can actually participate in that process. All you need is a computer with a GPU, and you can actually begin to, validate transactions and be a part of the network. So that means that it's decentralized, and there's no way for us to censor transactions, which is super important for people in, countries where governments want to do that, right? And you can even think about that in the U.S. I mean, there's, cases where I'm sure the government wanted to censor Donald Trump's transactions. I'm sure they've gone to great lengths to do that. There's the cannabis company issue, and there's crypto companies that are also debanked. It's difficult as a crypto company to get a bank account and to get stables converted to dollars, or any kind of crypto really. And so we kind of want to be an alternative to the traditional financial system. Our first real product that we're building, I mean, we built the network, it's scalable, it's decentralized, and it works very well. But our first, main product or go to market is payments. It's peer-to-peer payments. So we're building a lot of solutions for people to be able to do that easily. And there's two things that I'll highlight. I'll let you guys ask questions in a second. There's two things I just wanted to highlight that we're building. One of them is called Blip. It is a mobile app, a mobile wallet on your phone, Android, iPhone. and you can send and receive payments in Quai, and soon you'll be able to send and receive payments in Qi, which is kind of our native stable coin. It's like a stable asset, and will very soon allow you to do the same with stable coins like USDC and USDT. And so those, kinds of stable coins will basically allow anybody to use our network for like super, really, really cheap fees. Download an app, you can send payments to your friends. And there are some steps that go into that. So we're working with on-ramp providers in other countries that have support for a lot of different localities to try to make the process from whatever you already have right now into some kind of stable coin or some kind of asset on our network, and that's all through our Blip iPhone Android app. And then the second thing we're doing, which is also pretty cool, is it's called Kipper, and it's actually a tipping bot that integrates into Twitter and allows you to tip creators with coins on our network. And we're also integrating Solana for the same like tipping ability, so that you can also pay creators really easily without worrying about Twitter taking a cut or anything. Really easily paying creators, and you can also, we're building in ways for you to get like cool content from creators too when you tip them. And that just leverages kind of the power of scalable payment networks, right? Where you don't have to worry about Visa approving a transaction, or you don't have to worry about Stripe, taking fees away from your revenue.
Right.
As a creator, like Twitter's going to take, 1%, Stripe is going to take 1%, credit card fees, all these things, they really add up. So we're trying to make, this kind of, like I said, like alternative financial system where you can do anything you can do with traditional payment rails, but you just do it on a blockchain. It's instant. It's like sub penny fees. And you don't have to worry about, are the regulatory bodies going to come take my money from me?
Right.
And that's kind of what Quai is.
Yeah. Anybody that's been in cannabis knows what it's like to be unbanked or debanked.
Yeah.
Having your bank account taken away is a fucking kick in the nuts, man. It sucks. Or
stressful and heavy.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's not light.
Not being able to take credit card payments sucks. Having to deal with all cash sucks. Like it was so difficult, and that's what led me to blockchain. That's why blockchain speaks to me, why crypto speaks to me, because I had to deal with all of those pain points in my business. And so I love what you're building. I think that's fantastic. Where do you think for you guys, obviously Lightning Network is out there, Solana, right? Solana Pay or whatever. Where do you think the opportunity is for you guys, and as far as getting this out to the general public? Do you think it's in these other countries where they might have some issues with banking or issues with government or what's so on and so forth? Do you think it's in high risk industries like cannabis? Where do you think you're going to grow the fastest for what you're trying to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so we're kind of trying things out to see what is the easiest path forward. Like I don't have a direct answer yet because we actually only launched our main network about 3 months ago. Oh, wow. So we're pretty new, really. And we have a lot of initiatives that we want to tackle, but things take time. But what we originally decided on was we have a community in Lagos, Nigeria. They really like our product and they want to start using it for peer-to-peer payments. And that doesn't mean going to a store and buying a soda yet. That's a little more there's more work. You have to integrate with a point of sale terminal. Yeah. The merchant has to accept it. They have to trust that the transaction's not going to get reversed, which it can't, but still. And so there's more work there. But I think to start with, it's peer-to-peer payments. So it's like Venmo, right? Venmo, Cash App. Venmo and Cash App can close your account. There's no way we can do that because you don't have an account with us. You have an account on our chain. Right. So there's no way for us to close your Venmo account. But it's kind of like that, right? So there's kind of like a registry with the Blip mobile app, and you basically create an account with a username and a password. And your wallet is like a username, basically. You can accept a payment as an address or as a username or as a QR code. So somebody can just scan your QR code and send you a payment. You'll get it pretty much instantly, or they can type in a username, or they can type in your address, copy paste or something. But we're trying to basically compete with Venmo or Cash App for peer-to-peer payments. in like, let's say Nigeria, but you could do it anywhere. I mean, it really like could be used as a peer-to-peer payment app anywhere. But like you said, so you do have to get people to start using it. There has to be this like kind of spark, right? And so we've thought about different ways to like incentivize it. So like we're thinking of a referral program basically. So when you sign up, you get referred by someone, they get like a percentage of every transaction you send for like some period of time. Like I think it's, we're starting with like a few months. So every single transaction you send, actually your referrer gets like 1% of that. And you can even make it like we did that already, so it's already in the app, but we're going to make it a step further as well, where the person who referred you also gets like, so I don't want to make like a literal pyramid scheme, but the idea is basically we want to onboard as many people as possible, and we want to give them an incentive to refer their friends.
Sure.
Because when you refer your friends, then you start to create a network, right, where you can pay people. And when you have like a network where you can pay people, that network will slowly grow with referrals because everybody's kind of getting a piece of the pie. And that's just like one like go-to-market strategy that we're going towards. But sitting in here and listening to you guys talk about cannabis companies, honestly, kind of made me realize the necessity that is payments for cannabis companies as well.
There's such a huge opportunity there. Such a huge opportunity there. I mean, if you can figure out the POS side of things, I can introduce you to every top 20 cannabis company in the country. That's where I think the biggest opportunity is allowing a customer to come in. And Rick's talked about this before. He has the Apple Pay tied to Doge, allowing a customer to come in with their phone, do boop, and pay and be done and walk out. Yeah. Right? Because then for the consumer, they don't have to carry cash, so they can spend more money on their transactions in that store. Because what we found in the cannabis industry is that people who came in and spent cash, let's say they spent $50, right? Because that's all the cash they have. The average was $50. People that came in with a debit card or a credit card, we were able to sneak it for a few months there. They spent something like 12% more, or 15% more. I don't remember what the exact number was. Because you're not limited to what's in your hand, and you don't have to go to the ATM and pay a $6 ATM fee or whatever it was. So yeah, whoever figures that out first is going to make a shit ton of money.
You can integrate with the app with the phone wallet and use credit cards. You can make like a tap to pay with your phone if you wanted to.
Tap to pay,
the register could actually just display their QR code for their payment address.
Yeah.
And you can even place the whole order in the receipt and then make that into a QR code. So it's like, here's your full receipt and bill, click, scan to pay, or it could be airdropped if they prefer airdrop or text. I mean, really anything.
Yeah. Here's the other cool thing with this too, which Jonathan, I'm going to have to introduce you to Decentral Bros. I don't know if you've ever heard of them before on X, but Justin over there, they do they have a layer 1 they're building. They have a stake and wrap to earn system where you actually can get it's a 30% APY for their project right now and what they've been building. But they're big builders in the ETH world, and but essentially they're creating a POS right now too. So in that sense of just how we know how Web3 works and collaborations. I don't know if there's something here in that realm of that cannabis, what Quai is building for cheap, fast transactions that are safe. Also, I know you guys also utilize the POEM, right? On your guys's. So, there's a lot of mechanisms you guys have working that are beneficial to the entire chain and why things are so efficient. So I wonder if there's a collab somewhere in here to get that kind of POS dialed in, cross chains. That's one of the things that Decentral Bros is working on right now, is just creating what they're calling a corridor instead of a bridge, because they're going to be the first to market here, but they want to do abstract stablecoin from Base, because they're on Base. That's what D-Bros is on. So I think that there's a lot of growth, and I love what you guys are doing in the sense of how do we make this affordable and usable for everybody, especially globally. We know that that's been a huge thing in the history of finance and economics, is it's been difficult for other countries to obtain fiat because it's not there, it's not readily available and things like that. So it's super cool what you guys are doing in that. But I like what you're talking about seeing opportunity in the cannabis industry on that side, because it's about helping all the industries that, may just have a bad stigma, just like crypto itself, to make it more easily to approach, onboardable. I love what you guys are doing with the me and Nick talk about it, and obviously all of us here, but it needs to be easy for the normies, the regular people, because they're not going to do the seed phrase and the keys properly. And, so for you guys to also be thinking proactively in that sense of how do we make this easy for everyone to get into, so that everyone can use it. So I love that.
We actually, there is a solution, because you're creating a wallet, or you already created a wallet.
So yeah, we have a wallet. I mean, I don't think it was approved by Apple yet. So we have some work to do to get it on the official store. So right now it's in like a beta version, which is on an app it's like Test Flight is like a beta testing app for Apple. So it's available on Test Flight, and getting into the store is like a little more of a process. But we did build an app, and for what you were talking about, which is like a QR code with a payment, like that's something that already exists in that respect.
Have you with your wallet design, you can have access to the tap to pay system as well. Just like the scanner for the credit card, they've already got it, right? So they already have that tech. You literally would just say, just hold your phone in front of it, and it could communicate all of it to make the payments. There's a guy with Montage, Angry Mechanic, and his like crew. They made a wallet, and it's like tap to pay is active so far, and you can also do a credit card. And what it actually does is you kind of select which cryptos you want to spend first, based on like for tax reasons you might want to whatever. So you select which cryptos you want to spend, and it converts it into whatever currency the vendor prefers. So if there's no preference listed, it just turns it into cash like a normal credit card would do. So it's just like you don't have to even think about it. But if they wanted to request crypto, then it could swap into the transactions to do crypto. That would be the ideal version of that, right? Yeah. But you could implement that with your wallet, or maybe just partner up. I don't know.
I mean, we're always open to partnering with businesses that do that. I think that's great. I mean, to start with like the basic like MVP, I think it would be like the POS terminal has a QR code. You scan the QR code and you pay, and that would be with whatever the merchant wants. Like the merchant would kind of specify what they want: a stable coin, or they want Quai, or wrap Bitcoin, or whatever we have on our chain available. It'll probably be stable coins. To be honest, I'm thinking about this like rationally. Like a business probably wants to start with stable coins, and they might swap to Bitcoin too. Like that's obviously reasonable. But you'd start with stable coins, and the business would hold on to those stable coins, and eventually they'd, if they can cash them to dollars in a bank account, I guess they would do that. If they can't, I'm really hoping that we can move to, a world where crypto is accepted as money, because a business holding Bitcoin, a business holding stables, that can only go so far if you can't pay rent with it, if you can't pay suppliers with it. So there really is like a whole process that we got to go through, right, to get the business from being able to accept it to being able to pay their suppliers with it. But with more adoption of crypto in general, I think people start to see stable coins and Bitcoin as money, and the more that happens, the more likely it is for a business to fully be able to run on crypto. And that's really what we want to get to, is a business can and an individual can just live with just cryptocurrencies that they have on their phone or in their hardware wallet or whatever, which makes it like a fully closed system. But until then, we do need like ways for businesses to get US dollars. So being like debanked is difficult. There's Bitcoin ATMs, but it's difficult. But we do absolutely want to integrate with a point of sale terminal. To start with, it's like you scan a QR code that somebody like has on a sign, or it can be on their phone or whatever. But we do absolutely want to integrate into a POS terminal so that a business can just flip the tablet and have them scan it and pay that way. I think that'd be super easy.
Yeah. This is the way that it should go. And we've spent way too much energy having paper. Like I got to drive to the bank to pull paper out. Yeah. Like this is crazy. It doesn't make sense.
Really archaic.
It was also for counting ease, kind of some of the rules, right? But with crypto, it's all super small fractions, and it doesn't matter. You know, like it could be any number, you know. But once crypto payments or crypto volatility slows down, right? When we get to like real mass adoption, that's when it'll be okay. Because right now there's so much fluctuation that they can't, like, they would have to enter a long or a short like put every time they get a transaction in order to make sure that they can pay their bills, because their bills are in fiat right now.
Yeah.
But,
Well, yeah, that's why
we're
I
almost
was
there.
I was kind of thinking that businesses would start payments in stable coins. So like USDT, USDC. We're also building our own native stablecoin in Quai as well. So they can pay with that. It's called Chi. But that's like I said, we only launched a few months ago. So for like the really trusted stablecoins, USDC, USDT is probably appropriate. So then, if you accepted payments in those, anybody would be able to pay on our chain with the app. And then you can just, use those as you see fit. If you have the ability to convert stable coins to dollars, then like that's it. Like you're good, and you can avoid credit card processor fees. I think that would be the biggest advantage there. Like if you're debanked, you'll have to hold on to stable coins and find a way to get around that, which unfortunately is like the reality that I'm sure some businesses face. But if you do have a bank account, like basically the advantage, right, is you don't have to have a Visa or MasterCard integration or approval, and you don't have to pay those fees. Which can amount to a lot of money saved. That's like 2 to 3% per transaction, right? So, I mean, that can be like a lot of money as well.
Yeah, it adds up for sure. And something you mentioned earlier that I think was interesting, you guys trying to convince users or merchants or whatever that there aren't going to be any chargebacks. I think that's a tremendous area of opportunity. When you think about, like, my head immediately goes to the hemp market, right? My buddy owns a small hemp company, and he hemp-derived products, right? Direct-to-consumer hemp-derived products. And he says that a good portion of his online sales get refuted and disputed, and he gets a lot of chargebacks because of that. So, and basically what happens is the customer orders the product, they get it, and they know that they can dispute it, and so they do, and then they get the product free, which is messed up. But if you are approaching a vendor and that's your value proposition, like, hey, once somebody pays with it, and it's a high risk industry, once somebody pays with this, it's your money. They can't do a chargeback. It's your money immediately. You don't have to wait 100%. That 24 to 48 hours. You don't have to worry about chargebacks.
Yeah.
I think that is a huge, huge value proposition for a lot of businesses in high risk industries and a lot of businesses that deal with chargebacks. And you're right. The fees, when you're talking, I think when we were accepting credit cards, they were up around 3.5%, 4%, right? And cannabis is a slim margin industry. You're not making 40, 50%. You're making like double digits if you're lucky after everything is said and done. 3.5% out of the 20% is a big freaking number big slice of the pie that you got to get back. So. I love what you guys are doing. I think there's a tremendous opportunity there.
There's also there's a period of time, right, where you get paid. You don't get paid, or like they pay you via credit card, but you don't get the money in your bank, right? So it's like, I don't know how many days that is, but there's like a window where somebody makes a purchase, but you're not going to get that money, and that might be 7 days, it might be a month. I mean, I don't know. Do you know how long that is on average?
It's typically only a couple of days, but a couple of days makes a difference, right? And knowing that money is yours, and that a chargeback can't occur, I think, selling peace of mind to a business that deals with that on a day-to-day recurrent business, I think is a huge value proposition that you guys can offer.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think it's great. I live in Austin. Most of our team is in Austin, and cannabis is not legal here, unfortunately. So. It would be great if it was, because then, we could just go to one of the cannabis stores and just be like, hey, like, would you be open to trying this? Yeah. And we'll just like, help you figure out the conversion to dollars if you need it. But like, would you be open to like trying this as like a MVP? But, we don't, live in a legal state. So the best you can get here is,
Texas is one of the biggest direct to consumer hemp markets in the country.
We do have a lot of hemp, and maybe that's a good idea. Maybe looking into.
Because it's all online. Business. It's all not all online, but most of it's e-commerce, and that's where they deal with the chargebacks, is on the e-commerce side of things. Good buddy lives in Austin. He lives over near Spanish Oaks. I'm not sure if that's anywhere near you, but Yeah,
Much
that's
love
cool.
to all the fam in the chat, man. You guys are blowing it up. I like it.
Oh, I haven't even, man. I am so bad about checking the chat.
Little compliments here and there. We do the
Yeah,
moon.
what's up, everybody in the chat? How you doing?
Looks like we got some Texas love too.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, Texas is a great state. I do love living here, but I will say, like, drugs are not legal in Texas. I think, hemp is for now. I don't know if they're going to change that, but,
Yeah,
just, drugs in general are very, very not illegal here. I think it's decriminalized, though, actually, in Austin. I think cannabis is
I think you're right. I think you're right. Austin, yes.
That would be the one place.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So that would be like, if you're a gray area hemp business, like, this is probably one way that you can accept payments and not have to worry about the government taking your money, because it would be impossible for them to, and also chargebacks. So
exactly. That's, I think a huge opportunity for you guys. I love what you're doing. I want to have you guys back on later in the year and get an update and see kind of where you're at with things.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's fascinating. Like I said, blockchain solves a lot of pain points in the cannabis industry specifically. So it's exciting to see like what you're doing and the problems that you're trying to solve, because that relates a lot to what I had to deal with back when I had my dispensary. So that's cool, man. All right, we are well past our hour. This has been a fun show. We didn't even talk about Elon and Trump. What?
We got updates and stuff. So I'll just make some good posts later, man.
Yeah.
Join our spaces all next week, because they're gonna have a lot of alpha.
There you go. All right, let's. I gotta jump here. I got a call coming up shortly, guys. Great live. This has been amazing. I love doing these. Selfishly, I love doing these because I learn a lot. Like I learned a lot about the Quai network. I learned a lot about how cannabis brands are adopting the Bitcoin reserve strategy. So I love doing these. These are fun for me. I just love learning from all these super intelligent people and that are taking advantage of the technology and blockchain and things like that. So this is always fun for me. So thank you very much for joining me every Friday and doing this. That's it for me. Have a great weekend, everybody. Let's go around the room. Let's say a few parting words, and then we'll let everybody go for the weekend.
I know how this goes. Tricky and Rick will just sit there quiet, and then I'll be like, shit, I'll go first. So I'll go first. Yo, Solana Deads. We didn't get, we were busy today. It's okay. No, dude, we had interviews. We had pre-scheduled interviews. It's totally good, but we'll quick shill it. Just because we do have, I'm looking at the numbers right now between all of our lives, and we got a little over 1,400 people watching us today. So thank you guys for everyone's channels. On X here. So thank you guys for all the support always between all of our channels when we're live, showing up, being here for us. We appreciate you guys. It was an amazing week. This morning we had our launch party at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We went through 200 mints and 7% of the 3,333 in the first hour of being live. We also made it to the hot trending front page of Launch My NFT. Nice. So super hyped at how it's starting. We're super grateful and thankful to everyone that's been minting and being a part of it. For those of you guys that don't know, it's a 3,333 sized collection. We have if you're on the OG list or the white list, you get 4 max per your wallet. And your guys' price is a little bit different. So if you guys did claim your spot, your whitelist, your OGs, make sure you go claim those, because your mint price is going to be 0.333 on your OGs, and on your whitelist, you're going to be 0.444 SOL. And then for the public and everyone else that's joining now, it's 0.555 Solana. But we've just been minting like crazy. Everyone's been loving the art. I'm so thankful to Levels and Rogue with all the just building that they put in. You guys don't understand. Like I can't even put it into perspective. The 72 hours like kind of leading up to having everything dialed in, put online. They didn't sleep. So thank you to you guys for everything you guys to make this come to life. We're thankful to all the support and love we've been getting at the Solana Deads today. The merch is launching, so make sure you guys are ready for that. We have our partnership with Unify, the e-commerce store. So we're just super excited about it all. Go make sure you guys mint yours. I am going to be doing a giveaway of a dead pretty in the next or a couple days here over the weekend. So make sure you guys keep your ears out because I'm gonna be giving away some of the skeletons.
Nice.
But yeah, so
congrats, man! Congrats!
Thanks,
that's awesome. I'm really happy for you guys because I know you've been grinding hard on that. So I'm just excited for you guys.
I got 2 slotted deads, and I also scooped that mutant Shiba clove off the floor.
Oh, that's another thing we need to talk about. Rick,
rank like 5,000 or 4,000 something.
Rick, do you got anything you want to announce?
I saw that, Tricky. Send me your thing. I'll send you an antidote. Yeah. So I've taken over Mutant Shiba Club now.
Officially. Congrats, man.
Officially now. Thank you.
Congrats, man.
So it's been a long time coming, and finally things came together. Bro, just seeing like the people on the timeline again, like the Discord's all fired up, like all over again, all the hype's back. I couldn't ask for anything more, to be quite honest, after all this time. So yeah, just grateful to everyone for, showing all that support and all the new PFPs I'm seeing, all the posts on the timeline. Bro, blown away, and just can't wait to cook. So yeah, man, there's loads coming. This month I want to release the DAP, so you're going to be able to mutate and swap Shibas. That should come towards the end of the month. Working with crypto bullies at the moment to get that out, and there's just so much going on, so much going on. So yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned is what I'd say. Stay tuned because we got some shit cooking.
Sorry. Do you have your Mutant Shiba Club tomorrow? Shiba Saturday? Is that tomorrow?
Yeah. 4:20 p.m. EST tomorrow. It should be banging. Every week we have that. Oh, nice one, Tricky.
There you go.
Yeah, look at that mohawk.
I've been asking everyone, is there a mohawk in your collection? And then I get that one. Let's go.
Yeah, that's tops.
That's
awesome.
So
just excited to start a new chapter. Obviously 3 years, a long time to go from like being a community member to community manager to taking over the project, and now just able to actually cook. I haven't had the funding, now I've got funds, so everything changes.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
That's a cool one. I saw that one on the timeline.
Let's go.
Yeah, bro. Somebody minted this, and this has a lot of very rare traits. So I was gonna pull it up so you guys could see one of the. You got the fun beer hat and the warm eyes. And if you guys look really close, there's actually cheese pizza filled inside of the skeletons. So some of them are cheese filled or money filled. So you gotta look close with your skeletons. Sometimes there's some traits hiding in there.
That's hilarious. All right, Tricky, a few parting words, and then Jonathan, a few parting words, and we'll let everybody go.
Man, check out the spaces next week. If you're going to NFT NYC, hit me up. I'm gonna be there. It's gonna be awesome. Lots of fun. I got lots of events coming, and I might even do a Wave Wars and Little Downs project, which will be like 3 days long. We're gonna go to the Red Band event. Anyway, stay positive. Enjoy the weekend. Let's go raid Mama Bear space, and salute to everyone showing up and the comments in the chat, dude. Yeah, right.
And Jonathan, any parting words for people to check out Quai?
Sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys have a good weekend. If you guys like NFTs, I recommend checking out. We got an NFT marketplace on Quai. It's called Quai Mark.
Some audio going on. Who is that?
You guys hear me?
There we go. That's better.
Okay. So we actually have an NFT platform on Quai Network. Because Quai Network is also like EVM compatible, smart contracts and stuff, so you can mint NFTs. It's called Quai Mark, QUAI mark.com. You can like create an NFT. I think I haven't created one myself, but I'm pretty sure it's like they have like a tool for it, and you can trade NFTs on Quai. So just like a little cool thing you can do on our network. But yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it. It was great to learn a little bit more about the cannabis industry, and I hope you guys learn a little bit something about Quai. So thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Jonathan. All right, everybody, that's it. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.